Alright, so now that we have all the samples, what we're going to do is try to design a sound with the basic three suspects, that is high, mids, and lows. Now I want the lower to be a bit deeper, so I'm going to turn that 3. That is just me punching the side. But a very soft velocity, has this very nice deep sound to it. And then what I would like to do is always print something so I remember how I started. So this is the sound, just raw recording, no processing. Now we're going to try to clean this up to make it very trailer friendly. So to do that, I'm going to reduce the mud in this. And then I'm going to search for tonality. So I'm going to remove all the harmonics that I don't really like. Very clean low end. Now we're going to add the mid section. Again, removing some mud. Also removing a lot of information in the tail. Just to get that snappy punch. Compression. So all I'm doing with compression is just adding energy. I'm basing this on my emotions. I'm not really looking at settings, really. So yeah, I don't really try to reverse engineer my settings. It's purely chaos. Then with WNS, what I'm doing is just ducking down to high frequencies. I used to automate that with EQ. You can just take an EQ and do that same automation. But I find that WNS does it in a more easier way. A bit of reverb. So 100% wet would sound like this. Yeah, just a great way to add size. And then a tiny bit of EQ. Now the top layer. Same process, a bit of compression. Just to get that energy. Bit of Haas effect. So I had 2 layers that were pretty centered. So here, I'm going to exaggerate the highs and put them very wide. And again, just cleaning up. That's a bit intense, actually. Maybe if I probably go like this. Cool. Now all together. Sounds pretty good. So we started here. We have a much cleaner sound now. So you can tell that the raw recording is a bit louder, but it's also much muddier. So what I did here is that I just removed all the information I didn't need. And I'm not getting fooled by the loudness too. Because, you know, a lot of tutorials would just play the new sound louder. So now I purposely played it quieter, but you can still hear that the mix is better. As for the mastering, I noticed that I'm a bit too clicky. So I'm going to use a bit of Pro Q, automating EQ to catch the highs. With a bit less of 4K. And then I think I'm using a little bit of EQ automation, this time manually, to just remove the sustains around 100 Hertz. I like 100 Hertz, but only on the attack, on the knock. I want to emphasize the subtail, which is at 50 Hertz. So I remove what's above it over time. And to wrap this sound up, let's just make it a bit louder with some pretty transparent limiting, which is just a stock Ableton limiter. But it's gain compensated, so every time I increase, I'm not fooled by the loudness. So we lose a bit of low-end punch. But around here it sounds pretty good. Then I just remove the utility to compensate. Here we go. Before, after. Now the true final test is to figure out if the sound actually works on top of a trailer. So here I'm going to take a track I wrote and just slam some sounds on top of it to see if they stick. So initially, with the added sound we just made, Alright, so hopefully you learned a thing or two from this video. This is only scratching the surface of trailer sound design, but if it's something that really interests you, I highly recommend my course with Evident. It's called Trailer Sound Design from Source to Cinema. We record everything from scratch, no other library is involved. I'll share my own recordings too. You'll see breakdowns of sessions for AV Instinct, trailer tracks I wrote for publishers, and on top of that, it's also a great general mixing course because the designing process is so precise that these techniques are applicable to a lot of other genres. With all that said, I'll put also a few freebies in the description below, so make sure to check those out.